like around the world at different stages of their guitar building journey. You can join us over on our forum to seek advice or share tips on guitar building processes, materials and tools, or just to share your builds. On YouTube, we have a regular podcast of guitar building chat where you can join the live stream or watch back on past episodes. Our Instagram page shares posts of members' builds and links you direct to their accounts. And for those of you on Facebook, we've got a private group that you can join, share and chat along with. The Guitar Builders Collective is a welcome and open space for all, so do pop by and say hi. Ah, no, it's still there, and I've lost everyone. Oh no. Well, there's Scott. Scott, I'm afraid that thing's still there.
Oh, great.
I might be able to get rid of it doing this. Hold on. We're nearly all the way. Hopefully Mark will get back in and I'll be able to get rid of this thing. Because obviously we want to share our screen today. To show
yeah, you don't want that over it.
A question for Mark, but I fucking lost what I was going to ask him.
Well, there you go. It's saying it's live. This one's live.
Right, we're all back, but so is the cookie bar. What's going on? I can't click on it to accept it. I have this weird feeling that it's like lockdown's just started and I'm learning how to use equipment. Settings. I can't find anywhere to accept cookies.
How the fuck do you move the sidebar to the bottom?
Are we just going to go ahead with it?
Yeah, maybe we can figure it out on the way.
There's a few suggestions in the comments whether that's something that would apply to what the computer looks like.
Yeah, no, I've checked all the browsers that they're all my browser windows are closed. Try it again. Now I can't see if it's there or not. Wow, just as I thought we were getting more professional. Would anyone, are any of you able to share your screen and go to the Guitar Builders Collective Instagram page and you can just share the images while I disappear in the background and try and get rid of that thing? So on the Guitar Builders Collective page, there are posts for individual builders.
Let me have a look.
No, I can't.
I don't know if I'm logged into Instagram on my laptop, but
Okay,
I will check and see.
I can do it if...
Yeah.
What does that mean? This thing's moving a slider to the bottom. You can also click OK.
What I might do afterwards is, once this is finished, is edit this out at the beginning to make us look like we know what we're doing. Here we go. I'll share it then. So last week we were, as far as talking about some builds, we didn't get everyone in, but maybe as you're there, Corey, we could start with your one.
Yeah.
And I'm going to switch myself off while you're doing that and try and work out what's going on.
That's the one that I showed last week. I managed to get the t-shirt glued down and glued to the body, and then stupidly I glued the shirt to MDF because I didn't want to waste the top, and then I super glued, mask and taped a template on top of that so I could have equal pressure, and then I lifted up some, and if you see just below the neck there's like a bare patch of MDF, and I'm going to make like a little pick guard for that. But yeah, it's just waiting on like one little thing for an inlay, and I got that today, so I reckon it'll be finished next week.
How did you glue the fabric to the MDF? Was it just
top
wood glue?
Yeah, I used a foam roller and put a heap of type bond on the MDF, and then I made a mold around the shirt so I could pour some resin over the top of it.
Mm.
And unfortunately, like that was like a one-off shirt. So when I pulled the shirt, it sort of stretched one of the guitars out on the fabric out, and it says Zola guitars on it, but it happened to be right where the pickup goes. So hindsight, I could have done better. But yeah, next week I'll be carving into the neck and doing all the good stuff and put a few coats of clear on it, and next time I'm on I should be able to show it off again.
Nice.
But yeah, it came together pretty quick. Like the top was nearly ready to go on last week.
And what kind of bridge are you going to put on it?
Just a strap hardtail sort of bridge. Because like the neck's pretty chunky and it's already in deep enough for that sort of bridge. I was thinking about a Floyd Rose at one point, but I don't play Whitley stuff, so Floyd's a bit lost on me. But the more I look at, like, when I first did that shape, I'm like, oh, it looks crap. But the more I look at it, I'm like starting to dig it a bit more.
Is the world ever going to come up with a solution for the Floyd problem? Because Floyd's awesome, you know, if you're on tour and you have a guitar tech, but other than that, trying to figure it out is bad enough. I mean, my God.
Man, have you ever like studied the route for a Floyd Rose? It is not symmetrical in any way. There's so many different levels. It's like, oh my God, it's just like so old fashioned. And then of course you think, well, why didn't someone make a symmetrical trim system? And they have, but Floyd Rose is just stuck in our like collective consciousnesses as like the best type of like trim there is, and we continue to use it. And I love Floyd Roses. I grew up with those, so like that's what I learned on.
See, I didn't have access to them, but
you guys go.
I just didn't have access to one growing up. So I have one now on an LTE, but and I never play it. But I mean, you know, anybody's ever tried to restring one, it's the stuff of nightmares. It's everything about the Floyd Rose sucks except, you know, playing it.
I think
there has to be.
They were doing the speed loader for a while, and that was like you could just string the strings through the back of the thing where the fine tuners are and go straight up without having to snip the ball ends off. And they stopped making them a while ago. It's
Yeah.
like,
I remember those.
Well,
yeah, I've got one sitting in the drawer there. It's I know Guitar Fetish makes similar ones because I think I got one from there before too, and yeah, it's just like I know I bought the cheapest one I could get on Amazon a couple of years ago, and I couldn't get the strings to clamp down on it, so I ended up using the string blocks, the little blocks, and left the ball ends on, and then strung it up sort of normally.
It's curious. I just saw like yesterday on YouTube, there was I guess it was like they went to the guy from Modest Mouse's studio to show his gear. And he was showing his invention, which is essentially a Floyd without the bar. And so basically he has like this kind of ramp system at the back where the fine tuners would be. So you use your palm instead of using a bar, and you can like lift it and drop it. It's routed the same way. And it's his invention, basically him and his tech, I guess. And I thought it was super cool because you can still, in fact, if you think about it, like thinking about trem use, it's a lot easier to maintain your picking and use your palm for tremming instead of grabbing a bar, like letting go of your strings essentially and grabbing a bar. And it made perfect sense. If you guys get the opportunity, if you're into trems, check out that video because it was really cool.
Yeah, or even a short little bar would be cool. I mean, because I don't know, you think about dive bombs and pulling up 2 steps and junk like that, but but a little tiny bar, you just hook a pinky on. I mean,
yeah,
there has to be better ways to do this.
Yeah, in it was maybe the late 90s or maybe the early 2000s, during like the new metal scene, the guys from Korn also invented some system where you didn't have a bar, you had like a crossbar that went from one end to the other, and you use your palm on that too. Ah, there you go. The U-bar.
Yeah, they call it U-bar or some, I remember.
Interesting. Yeah, well, it's the fine tuning. It's the fine whether you're looking at a headless system or Floyd type of thing. It's fine tuning is I think the biggest trick. I have the second guitar I ever had, I still have and love, and it was a Yamaha of all things. But it had, a Floydy type clone type of thing that you could never find if you actually wanted to replace it, and it worked really well. So you got a lock nut and fine tuning on the bridge, and I never thought about it as a kid. It was just cool, but Floyds are stupid.
I don't like headless. I think I can't get around that. Not having a headstock.
They're an acquired taste for sure.
I made a headless, but I had a headstock in it and had barrels just go through the headstock.
Well, I was thinking about this. I distinctly remember. I think it was Vito Bratta, White Lion, who was some video was playing a Steinberger, and it was the first time I had ever seen a headless guitar, and I'm like, what the hell is this? For whatever reason, I was always enamored with your classic, look, the Strat, the Les Paul, maybe even the stupid Telly, but I wasn't, closed off to. I saw new stuff, and I'm like, wow, that's the coolest thing ever. That thing has no head. I don't get the aversion. That thing was a little tiny, box for a body. I can kind of get having a little bit of resistance to that because it looked more like a toy than a guitar. But I don't get the aversion. I really don't.
It's a little bit jarring when you see a guitar without a headstock. That's, I think, what is the aversion.
Yeah. I don't know.
Now, anything new is just cool. So I really like the Strandberg. I really do.
That's what I did.
But when I did my first headless, I still wanted ears on it so you could hang it. So it's headless, but it has a little head.
Yeah. Every headless guitar I've ever made has had a headstock.
Yeah.
Well, Floyd Rose was making guitars for a bit, and they had like a Fender style headstock, and they had double ball-end strings.
Ooh. Yeah, I remember those.
The guy from Aerosmith was playing them for a while. Brad Whitford.
Yeah.
But yeah, like as Scott said, like with his headless, he made it so you can have like so you can hang it up on the wall. And I just did a regular headstock with mine and had ferrules on the back and the front.
Well, that kind of makes sense, doesn't it? In my mind, I haven't done a headless or a played around with the Floyd Rose, but yeah, the what you're saying with the ferrules on the headstock instead kind of works. Just the opposite.
I'll show it again. Like that's the back of it. Not that
we could make it bigger, but I don't know if we can hide what Daniel's got on the screen because I don't know if we can get it back since it's his tab.
So it's got this cool little bridge, and it's got like a little crank to tune the strings up down the bridge end. Oh, there we go. I've got ferrules on the back.
One of the advantages to a headless is the size. I mean, it's a lot more conducive to being a travel guitar and that type of thing. I don't know. There's some strong feelings about it. I don't.
To me, I like guitars sort of looking guitar-y. This fucking poor thing's been out of here.
And I like new things. So.
It's a little crank. Yeah, so it's got like a little crank. You just pop it in and you wind away.
All right, yeah.
This thing's so like I've taken pickups. Like I had 5 pickups in it at one point and 2 piezos, and taking pickups out of it. And I can't figure out how to put this fucking thing back in. Yeah.
Well, headless was a big tangent.
Yeah.
I want to do another one now. Now that I have a Strandberger that I'm in love with. I kind of want to lean into the headless a little bit. At least do one more. I want to find a set of hardware that I can call a standard for my builds that I like and I can rely on, because the first time I looked into it, I mean, unless you want to take out a new mortgage for some hardware, then you kind of get Chinese trash, and there's zero standard on anything. So if there's a problem with this one, you're screwed. If you've done routes, you've done filling, you're screwed. There's nothing you're going to find that's going to match it. A lot of the wacky new things you run across, fan frets and things like that, you just wanted to try it once, but partly because you want to be able to say, I can do that if somebody wants it. And this is just one of those things. I want a standard, headless option that is, workable and I'm comfortable with. I'd like, some type of Floyd clone that's, doesn't cost as much as a trip to the moon that, that I actually like and could offer as well.
I was there, Scott. Like I did all that research a while back, trying to find something affordable that wasn't like overseas trash. Mm-hmm. In fact, if anyone remembers the last build with the bamboo, I had a red headless trem that you couldn't tune with your fingers. And I didn't know this until after I routed it and put it on the guitar. I'm like, you couldn't turn it physically. Like no human could. You had to put an Allen wrench in there to turn the tune keys. So I couldn't backtrack. You can't reroute everything like you route specifically for that bridge. But in the past, I've used 2 companies I think are pretty decent in terms of price. One is Nova. They're out of South America. So it's not from China. You got one guy who's a machinist. I want to say he's in Brazil or somewhere. And he basically builds his headless trem systems. You can do trem, you can do fixed, you can do 6, 7. I think he does 8-string too. And I've bought at least 3 of his hardware before. It ships really fast to America, Scott. So I get it FedEx within a week. And it's a quality product. It's not overseas stuff. And he's on Instagram, so you can I chat him like all the time. Like, can you make me this? Can you do this color? So you can actually talk to the guy. It's just one guy.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then I've had good luck with Geiker, Guyke or whatever. They have a hip shot clone that is exactly the same dimensions as the hip shot fixed bridge 6-string, but it weighs like twice as much because it's not made of aluminum. It's like made of steel or something. So try out those two.
Okay. Yeah, ever since I got the Strandberg, I've got clone trims showing up on my feet everywhere. One of them looks like it, could do a little bit of multi-scale, but it's also Chinese, so I don't know.
Nova has a headless fan fret trem. He offers one. Yeah, so it's Nova Guitar Parts. I think it's what it's called.
Fan fret trim is a little bit of a crazy idea. I mean, it's hard for it to be low footprint, and I mean it's just the nature of the beast. But I mean the Strandbergs looks really big to me as well, but I mean there's just no getting around that.
Hey Mark, did you end up doing that sustainer sort of thing in that you're doing? What was it, like an EBO sort of thing at one point, weren't you?
Yeah, I've been experimenting with it, and then I think I just kind of gave up.
Yeah, I remember there was a video of it, and
didn't you have a video this week of it?
It was last week, yeah. Just a mock-up of off-the-shelf components that anybody could get to drive a string, but it's not practical in any way. You can't shrink it to fit in the guitar, or at least maybe you could. There's some good ideas in there, but I'm not going to pursue it.
Yeah, what I liked about your video was the way you basically invited other people to try to pursue it.
Yeah.
Right, so the bad news is I've gone through every potential option I can, and I think that it's possibly fixed, but only fixed if we restart, and I don't want to do that again. So we'll just carry on. I'm trying to position the boxes on the screen so we can see everyone's face. So hopefully we can do that now. And
I think we're pretty
annoyingly,
good.
I was trying to film do a screen recording of this, but because we've already started the stream, I can't do a screen recording because on my screen it doesn't have that box, the cookie box. And my other software to record the screen doesn't seem to be working compatible when this is running. So otherwise I would have recorded it and just changed the video so people could watch the video without the box on, but we'll have to make do. And I have been listening in, and that thing Scott about that whole idea of trying to find your go-to hardware that you can use. I also tried to do that, but then I just discovered that I keep wanting to try new things, so it doesn't work very well. But when we had Ferrotone Studios on here a while ago, Ferrotone Studios, they mentioned the Geiger, but they had Geiger tuning pegs that were locking, and he said they were just absolutely brilliant. So I went out and got a set, and they really were like totally great quality and budget price. So I'm a second for recommending them.
Geiger also just came out with a kind of a color tone system, so you can get all these different colors in your tuners, like gold, and purple, and you can mix and match them, different head, tuner pieces. So go to the Geiger website because it's actually pretty neat. They actually got some good stuff there.
Yeah, I wish there were more color options out there. It's one of the things I love about DiMarzio is they've got so many damn options for pickup covers. How often you need a titty pink single coil? I don't know, but I like having the option
all the time.
But mixing and matching colors, see, a number of times I've thought, I want like gold knobs on a black tuner or something like that. I should just start making my own hardware. Start a hardware company.
Well, a lot of times you can buy a double set and just take the tuning pegs off and swap them around with another set. And
yeah, but I mean for like bridge and things like that. I mean, think a gold, a black Tunematic with gold saddles would just be cool.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, black and gold in particular, but black and chrome. There's a lot of awesome options, and I like color combos.
So let me share again. We can carry on.
Ooh, that's like a St. Vincent, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Tyler from TP Guitars. He's been working away on that for a while.
Yeah, there's a few unfinished ones we're going to share.
Yeah, they're pretty much all unfinished, just about. Just a quick, Demi, Jurgen's wife's in the chat watching, but she can't comment, she said.
Yeah.
So I don't know if she mightn't be signed in or whatever, but she's...
Oh, well, she's tuned in on an unprofessional day, so apologies.
Of all days.
Yeah. What do you all think about that shape and the St. Vincent shape? St. Vincent shape.
Oh, yeah. I dig that shape.
I like it, yeah.
It definitely felt like the first guitar for a while that was like a mass-produced model that felt quite different. I heard her interviewed about it, and it was partly ergonomically designed for her to play, because I think we've talked about this before, but a lot of guitars are obviously designed with men in mind, and this has more of a cutaway to accommodate the female figure.
That is so interesting. I never thought of it that way. Like, it's so true. It's such a, like a male-dominated like field and market. Like, just insane. But that top back corner almost has like an Explorer look to it.
Yeah, here where it's straighter.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see if I can find a St. Vincent so we can compare them.
I don't know. I've seen a few memes that said this is why it was cut this way, and it was girls playing.
I mean, I don't know her music very well. Really.
I don't know how it actually would be.
I think I've only seen it on the Nirvana tribute thing that they did where they had the female singers on it.
It looks like her model is a 3 pickup model.
Yeah, I think they're Firebird pickups too, I think. But don't quote me on that.
Some of the color combos are brilliant as well.
That's the one thing that gets me excited about the idea of getting into paint. You can just control your color combos all you want.
So I was talking to someone yesterday about painting guitars, and we were discussing why so many of, when you look at the boutique builders and the hobby builders, the entries into the Great Guitar Build-Off and what people are doing with the Jurgs Cup, why so many of them are wood finish, natural wood finishes. And one of the questions someone asked around the table was, is it basically because it's harder to spray the paints? But I was also thinking that it's not that. It's more that when you're building like a hobby building or building for yourself, you're really picking the materials you're using. And it's sort of more of the fetishization of the wood and the choice of wood you're getting and how you want to show that off. And with so many people doing kind of bevels and laminates and sort of layers of wood and revealing that through their carves, it's a shame just to cover it up with paint.
That's exactly it. We're wood nerds.
Yep.
Yeah, wood nerds. That's the word.
And especially when you're buying it from online sellers, that I know for me, there's no sort of, well, there's a few that I've bought a bit from now, but it's about looking at, what's available and picking and choosing. So you're looking at the photos at what the wood looks like, which generally the ones that are more appealing on the computer screen are the ones that you want, and then you get them home. And they look even better. So it's kind of like once you get to that stage, there's no way you'd want to cover it up with something else.
I've got this really nice burl at the moment that I haven't glued together, and it's just, yeah. It's really insane.
You want to look at a Strat or a Les Paul and chop them up, and they're just pieces of shit glued together. You have 14 pieces in a body because you're going to cover it with paint. It doesn't matter. But yeah, the number of times that the entire inspiration for a build started with one piece of wood for me. I love the idea of paint because you could do some really incredible things, especially, if you talk to somebody like Todd who, did car paint for years and really nerds out on that crap. There's some wonderful things you could do with paint, I'm sure. and I'm excited about all the color ideas, but I'm still a wood nerd. I can't.
See, I'd only paint a guitar if I fucked it up to the point where I couldn't save it. And I'd just put bog in there or something.
Mick's had a good point about what are other ways you get colour involved. Oh, I like that, Corey.
Yeah, that's...
Dye. And,
Yeah, well,
if you happen to have a spray booth and some good equipment and actually know how, then you could start dyeing lacquer. I'm not in a position to learn about that just yet. But
I mean, your great guitar build-off, Scott, is obviously great wood, but also great colours. So that dyeing it was a way to get the colour in. And with what Corey just showed, it reminded me of what we looked at last week for yours, Corey, with the blue resin in it. Like filling the pores and things. It's a way.
Yeah, that piece I just shown, I'm keeping that for if I get a commission, and whoever gets it can pick what resin goes in it. But part of me wants to keep it so it's natural sort of sound holes too.
I just finished my hollow flash project. So this is another way to get color involved. And I haven't posted it yet. I still have to edit everything. And I might post on Instagram maybe, I don't know, tomorrow or something. But it came out pretty awesome. So you're basically using heat to apply this micron thin material, film, onto a lacquered body. And you're doing this in patches that alternate, right? And that way when the light catches it, it reflects and gives you a different color depending on how you're looking at it. And it came out brilliant. And I'm so excited about it. I'm so happy about it too. And it was quick. I think I did it in one morning, and it's micron thin, right? So you put your hand over it, you don't feel it. And you don't clear coat it. Clear coat will actually dissolve it. You're not supposed to put lacquer on it. I think you can put a water-based lacquer, but you don't have to. You absolutely do not have to clear coat it or lacquer it. And it comes out super smooth, and you can't scratch it off. The only thing that'll take it off is acetone or something. But I'm really excited to show everybody. It's such a fun.
Oh, that sounds fantastic.
That's interesting.
And I think the other thing about painting is it's not fun. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work and time and sanding and waiting and patience. And my hollow flash, I did it in one morning, and I had joy, immediate satisfaction.
I hate when you're this is the last coat, it's perfect, and then there's a stray hair in it or a bit of dust.
Yeah, I feel that. I often have joy with the colour going on, but then by the time I finish sanding it, it's sort of, it's like, I don't know if you know that film Swingers, John, where the guys are in the car going off to Las Vegas. They're all really excited because the spur of the minute they're going to Vegas, and they get in their car and they're like, Vegas, baby, Vegas, and they're driving and they keep going, Vegas, and it cuts to them an hour later and they're sort of, Vegas, baby. And then when they get there, they're so knackered. And it's that sort of process with the paint, because it does take so long and there are so many stages. But I like to think that once the guitar's assembled again, that enjoyment can come back.
I think it would be just to this day, I've said it a million times, to this day, every time I finish a project, I just stare at it in amazement that, holy shit, I did that. And I'm positive I would still have that same feeling with the paint, especially, having to go through that nightmarish journey to get there. I have no doubt.
Hello, Scott.
Say what?
You've painted a guitar before. Macaroni.
Macaroni noises, but that barely. At one point, I had a little hook thing screwed into the tail of it, and I'm outside spraying it, and the fucking thing came off, and the body bounced off the concrete and left big dents in it, and I just acted like it didn't even happen.
That's why I stopped using coat hangers. I used to put a coat hanger in the neck pocket, through one of the holes or whatever, and then I had an Ibanez, and I was just refinishing it, and it dropped, and then all the paint and all the primer came off in that one chunk.
I would have cried if it wasn't a $100 Harley Benton kit for macaroni, because
Shits and giggles.
that thing is a piece of shit. I could work on it endlessly and it would still be a piece of trash. It's not a good guitar. It's just not. I wouldn't.
That was a fun little thing though. You had Brett with his caster.
Yeah.
With the fishing line out of it and everything. Oh.
It was a super fun little thing. It's just I don't know that I would. The only reason I would get a kit like that would be to do something stupid like macaroni for an online thing.
For people that don't know what's going on, there was a competition that Toman had to buy one of their kits and do something with it. So Scott, was actual macaroni with was it embedded with resin?
Yeah.
How you do it? Yeah.
Macaroni resin.
And Brett's caster was a Stratocaster mixed with a fishing rod. So it was a caster.
Chris Franklin did a two-neck ukulele.
Yeah. That was cool.
Actually, talking about
Brett had the little eye hooks instead of the side dots, and had the fish line go through it.
Yes, it did.
He took it out on the water too.
I was going to say that I'm sure there was photos on Instagram of him in a little boat fishing with it.
That was stupid fun. Just I don't think a lot of people in the competition didn't really embrace the goofiness, but however, one of the dudes that was the front guys said macaroni noises was the best thing he'd ever seen in his whole life, but I'm positive the company was like, no, we want something that looks nice and professional, and this guy just tossed the instructions and chopped it up and put macaroni in it. No, he can't win. No.
I've got to say, the thing I liked about that competition was that because it was only with a kit guitar, so many people could enter it that maybe the restrictions of building a guitar from scratch or having the tools might be limiting. So some of the entries were just simply the assembled kit guitar, but the creativity was the paintwork that someone had done on it. So it just showed such a different range of creativity, not just in the way it's made or the choice of woods, but the way people had painted it. And I absolutely think that so I've just seen Bart's message. I absolutely think that doing things like the macaroni on it really embrace that. Yeah, so if you're watching and you can't click on reject or accept all cookies, it's because it's something to do with my computer, but I can't see that window anywhere.
Have you turned it off and on, Daniel?
I can only turn it off and on by...
no, to the computer.
Yeah. But the problem is if I switch off, I will cut all ends.
I'm sure the problem is this the Talk Studio service broadcasts to YouTube, and that interface, it as a client to YouTube needs to be able to deal with that, and you as the person running it don't have access to it.
Yeah, I think so. I've gone onto that website and tried to click everything I can on that and switch it off, and still not making a difference. Anyway, let's go back to some guitar porn. That's what we're looking at, Eric.
It's never
so I'm really intrigued. That one thing I love about wood finishes, how much they change when you add the oil or the varnish or whatever lacquer you're putting on to them. And that's something I wanted to say about colour that came up in our conversation yesterday with we were talking about Chris Franklin, actually, because he has some guitars that he's finished with a coloured oil, and Osmo is the company, and I think they basically make oil that you might do on your decking or your fences, and they're really bright and really colourful, but because it's an oil, it really still lets the grain kind of texture come through. And I'm sure I'm getting this right, that he was saying that when he just had his normal guitars, which were finished without the colour on at guitar shows, people didn't stop in the same way as soon as there was a bright coloured guitar. And that was why our discussion started, because we were saying that there's just so many, if you're going to a guitar show with boutique guitars, there's so many guitars that are made of wood that it's hard to stand out necessarily. Anyway.
I can see that, I guess.
So this is Barry Christian's one. He sent me a link earlier that he's just fixing the neck pocket here. But again, that's another example of an amazing choice of wood, right?
Yeah.
That's his first guitar too, you're saying? First build.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, mine looked like frigging dog shit and glitter on it.
Yeah, I'm fairly disgusted with people that do something like this for their first build. Mine was absolute trash.
I don't know, Barry, but I'd like to think that it may be his first build, but he's clearly done some woodwork before.
There's also this kind of concept of like standing on the shoulders of giants. Like there's so much content now and tutorials and educational pieces on YouTube that you can jump in, watch your 100 hours, and then just jump into like guitar building.
Yeah. Well, you spend that 100 hours, ordering a lot of hardware and tools and shit. Which actually reminds me, a lot of my tools are kind of trash, and I really need some upgrades on planes and chisels.
Yeah, I've got no hand planes at all.
And I don't know what's good. I don't know what to look for, in quality tools there. I mean, hand planes, we know, some brands that are highly,
Yeah, like Lee Nielsen and that.
Yeah, but when it comes to chisels, I don't know what makes a good chisel. I know mine are trash, but what makes a good one? But then I don't know that I've really got enough practice sharpening those and setting them up to justify, getting something nice and then screwing it up.
That's my issue. It's the sharpening bit. I've got just a few old hand planes from grandparents and stuff and chisels, and I just don't know how to sharpen them properly, and I've never spent the time to learn how to do it, which is one thing I should do. But the way I sort of build, I haven't needed those tools. So the chisel I used on the end of the truss rod just to make that bit a bit bigger, but it doesn't have to be neat because it's going to be glued up and covered. So
I just use a bigger outer bit for that bit.
Yeah, and I've actually I've started to do that. I realised that the router I've been using has got one of the fences that you run along the side, and it just the last time I used it occurred to me it's just got like a micro adjust, so I can literally just do the channel in the middle and then move the micro adjust like one way 1 millimeter, go back and forth that little bit, then go 2 millimeters the other way, and it does it that way, and then I don't even have to change your router bit. So the chills and things that I was only using it for things that didn't really need to be perfectly neat and sharp. So one day I'll learn, but it's the sharpening that stopped me from doing it.
When I started doing the guitar making course, acoustic guitar making course that I did many years ago, it was like an evening course. And the first 2 weeks, all we did was learn how to sharpen chisels and cabinet scrapers, because it's so important to have a good sharp tool there.
Scrapers is another one. I know how to sharpen. I just need more practice with it. And really, I kind of need a better setup because there's just... but those can come in so handy. So I need to practice with those and get better with sharpening those because, oh my God, when they're actually sharpened well, they're a fantastic thing to work with.
I don't use cabinet scrapers anymore. I just use disposable razor blades.
Yeah, I use razor blades a lot.
Yeah,
that's not a bad idea either.
Yeah, mine's once again a combination of both those things. But I've got a range of different cabinet scrapers, and I've tried sharpening them and don't have much success. So I just keep turning them around till I find an edge that works, and then then they're all blunt, and it's like, then you get the metal ruler out and see, often the metal ruler just straight out of the box has a bit of a bear on it, and that'll get you by a little bit too.
Yeah, but I really do like scrapers, so I want to find a way to reliably sharpen them well because I really do enjoy those.
Yeah, those like the Stanley box cutter blades that are like double-ended. Those are nice and thick. They're sharp. You get them on Amazon. You buy 200 of them for nothing. You use them and you throw them away. Forget sharpening.
Yeah, no, I used to use them as well, Mark, and also, as Eric does, scalpels. But I invested in one of those Stu Mac cabinet scrapers that are really thick.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely brilliant. I'm so glad I thought, should I spend this much money on a scraper? But it really has made a difference. It's so good. But when it comes to sharpening it, I don't know. There are videos of people doing it, but we'll see.
Yeah, that's cool.
You do have to sharpen the thick one because you can feel the burr on it when you first get it, and it scrapes really well. But obviously, you are wearing it down, so you do need to sharpen them.
Yeah.
So back onto the Jurgs Cup. So there are a few people that I've shared on Instagram, like this one, Curtis. Curtis was in the original chat before I restarted, so I don't know if he's still here. But they're not on Instagram. So I've just put a link in their description to the YouTube clips they're making. But have any of you followed much of what Curtis is doing?
Yeah, that's resin and paper.
Yeah.
At the start, yeah, I think I watched these videos at the start, and it was saw the resin and paperwork.
Yeah.
I like the approach of doing something totally different.
Yeah,
I've been pretty bad about keeping up with stuff lately.
So yeah, it's just lots of layers of paper and resin and paper.
There's some beautiful detail in that like neck. Like there's swirls of like light blue and dark blue.
have a look.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not even sure what the neck's made out of. It's been a while since
I think the neck is the coloured
paper as
paper that he layered up.
Because I know at one point he was doing carbon fingerboards and resin. But yeah, that looks almost like Damascus sort of paper, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We had Curtis on here as one of the, maybe in the first 10 or so episodes we did. And yeah, it was interesting because he was talking about like an approach where he's using lots of tools that we might not normally use or materials that you might not normally use, trying to be a bit more eco-friendly, getting wood from like a local reclaimed wood merchant. So it's all kind of more eco-friendly, as he described this, which I think is quite good. My daughter's only 7, and she's obviously learning it in school about the environment and the impact humans have on the environment and the damage we're causing. So I picked her up one day after school and she said to me, Daddy, I want you to stop making guitars.
Nice.
Like, what? She said, you need to stop making guitars. You're using up the trees, and the trees give us things to breathe. So I tried to explain how we often have conversations about using bamboo or recycled materials.
Yeah, man, the first guitar that I ever built, I didn't have the tools to like saw or joint or anything. So I bought a one-piece mahogany blank because I couldn't join anything. I didn't have any tools. And I thought, okay, I have one piece and I'll just kind of cut it out and route it out. But I get this one piece of beautiful mahogany, Sapele or African mahogany, I'm not sure what it was. And it was so gorgeous. And my first thought was, this should still be a tree. I felt so guilty for like cutting into it. So I'm glad that this kind of like new generation of very, very young people are growing up with this idea of like being environmentally friendly and understanding that trees are actually part of this world and we need to take care of them.
See, and I think trees should be conserved specifically for guitars. Stop using it everywhere else. But guitars, okay, and we absolutely need to stop making plastic, except Lego. Lego needs to keep doing what they're doing.
Barry Curtis said it was a denim fretboard.
Oh, that's even cooler.
Oh,
I think so.
I've got that. Sorry. Oh, wait, here he is. Yep. Denim fretboard.
Engineered oak.
Sorry, Curtis.
Or maybe he was talking about the carbon fretboards too. I don't.
Curtis,
Okay,
what's the body the paper one?
The body's paper. I know that for certain.
Off topic again, I have to go to. There was a time I walked into a Taco Villa and I noticed the trash bin was veneered in flame maple, and that offended me tremendously. Even though it was probably fake, it was probably some painted thing. If it was actual veneer, it hurt me. It hurt my soul.
All the furniture they make out of smick wood too. It's like, God, that's a waste. I remember getting
go ahead.
I built a guitar with a piano stool top, and it had that much French polish on it. Once it was all sanded off, the figure on it was so amazing. It was like someone sat their ass on this for like years and years, and like it was all covered in French polish, and you couldn't even see any of the grain underneath it.
Mm.
So I think Bart is still in the chat. He was a minute ago anyway. I haven't seen him say goodbye yet. This is Bart's one. So when I saw this, I thought, oh, Bart's making a 3D printed guitar, but it's actually the template that he's printed. When we had Ray on a few weeks ago and he was talking about 3D printing guitars, we didn't even have a chance to talk to him. So we'll definitely talk to him again about the scope of using 3D printing for templates and tools and bits like that. Hey, Bart is here. Great.
Yeah,
so I just want to check. When I posted this, Bart, are you not on Instagram, or did I just miss your tag somewhere?
No, he's on Instagram.
He is. I thought, I was trying to think. I'm sure I've talked to him on Instagram, but then I was thinking maybe it's all on YouTube. So sorry, Bart, I haven't tagged you. I'll go back and tag you in it.
Oh, I'll do it now.
Okay.
Yeah. No, he's under Bartissimo.
Do you know what I did? I missed out the H in Bartissimo. I went BAR. Anyway.
I'm not sure whether they'll get him as a collaborator or not.
Actually, one of the things that was great about the Great Guitar Build-Off when I first started watching it in the first year or two was seeing the process of the builds. And in like the last year, I mainly just went and looked at the finished products to have a look because there were so many of them. But I do really enjoy seeing guitars coming together. And I think maybe I don't need to watch any more long videos of people carving and cutting, but seeing the photos on Instagram, I find really interesting because you can just have that quick see it develop.
Yeah. Mark spoke about it before. It's like, do you need to see about 7 minutes worth of sanding? You just, 10 seconds would do.
Yeah, well, all of us that have tried to present the junk on YouTube have come across that problem is deciding. I mean, I don't 20 something builds I've got on YouTube. Nobody wants to see a fret job. Nobody wants to.
Yeah. So
yeah, kind of picking and choosing so you can make this an interesting story. And a lot of people are real good at it. Isaac, Mark, there's a lot of people that really make some compelling content where you still get to see the process.
There's so many tutorials too. It's like I can't add to it, so I don't bother even really explaining that much what I did.
Well, all right. So in the context of GGBO, it did get a little annoying when somebody's, who's obviously relatively new and they're giving, tutorial style how to do a fret job or something.
Yeah.
Like the entire audience here has done 1,000 fret jobs. You can.
Well, Bart's just put that this was made from, or the timber for 2 of the 3 pieces of the laminated neck were from the door that was next to his workbench. So that's going into the use what you've got. But it does sound like it, I think Mick's pointed this out, that it does sound like, Bart, you've just taken the door off its hinges to use it. Unless it was an old door. Or
That would be kind of fun. Just pull
I don't know if any of you
up the space, the workspace.
I don't know if any of you saw. Oh, he did take it off.
It's a pretty damn door.
Oh, look, we've got Randy here. Hi, Randy, who's come here because of Mark's build videos. Randy, I do hope this isn't your first visit, and that if it is, we haven't put you off by my inability to use the technology properly. We're normally a bit more professional. Dave's not with us today. but I saw him in the chat. I don't know if you
Yeah.
saw his most recent video he put up, but he used an old scaffolding board that'd been outside for a few years, which also reminded me, Mark, of when you put that Telecaster body outside, or was it a Telebody? Body outside and it rotted. But what was interesting is I looked at the scaffold board and I was thinking, oh, what an interesting texture and stuff it's got. But of course, Dave then planed the top and planed it all to make a nice, neat block of wood. So you've got this perfect block of wood that you've managed to reclaim. But yeah, I wish there was a way to incorporate all that mold and livingness in it. But who wants to play a guitar that's like that?
That's actually another thing I'm trying to work on now, which is I have some here that I collected. Oh, anyway, I won't show it. Moss. I was like, can I get moss to grow on raw wood? And what do I have to do to get this living, bright green, thin coat of moss to grow on a guitar body? So I'm in those, I'm in the idea phase and the conceptual phase right now, but it's something that I am going to be pursuing this summer.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
Plenty of shade wouldn't do it, wouldn't it?
See, I think there's 100% a place for guitars that aren't played very often, that are just hung on the wall and are a visual thing. Because, I mean, people that collect guitars probably don't play with many of them. I had 3 basses at one point when I was playing live regularly, and one of them just sat in I really liked it, but I never played with it. So it's not like you can't have a piece of artwork on your wall that isn't also an instrument.
And I've been thinking about the idea of art installations, the idea of an art installation, which is a piece of work that is installed in one location and doesn't really do anything except exist. And I want to kind of merge art installations with instruments. So I'm, again, in just the conceptual phases of that. But yeah, we can do some really unique things if we don't think about the playability. If we remove that element from the design process and the creative process, then you can do all sorts of crazy things.
Yeah. There's a company called Cara Guitars, or Jim Cara Guitars. And I recently saw some of his guitars that he'd made for an exhibition where they had, I'm not sure, I don't know if it was airbrushed on or somehow an image transferred, but onto the body. But then they were hung on the wall on a large canvas, which was like an extension of the image that was on the body. So it was a bit like a big painting on the wall, but with a raised bit that was the guitar shape, but then that could actually come off and be played and then hung back into the painting. And I thought that was
do you remember that old installation? Was it Tom, the guy from Talking Heads, where he built, it was all pedal boards on the floor and you walked on them like you would walk, and then you'd be stepping on stomp boxes and he would create all these weird sounds. You remember that art installation? It was just it was a runway of boss pedals and people would just be walking. You'd have to walk over there to get there and you'd be stepping on them. I always thought that was brilliant too.
Yeah, oh, brilliant. That's a cool idea. Why can't I remember the Talking Heads guy's name? Byrne, yeah. I've forgotten his first name. Yeah, very interesting guy. There was an installation that I've seen before, but it's a proper installation that is made to fit in a space. And I saw it in a really long gallery, but it's also been in other shaped galleries where someone's taken guitars, laid them on the floor, electric guitars, plugged them into amps, and then set up in the same space. What do you call it? A space for birds.
Aviary?
Aviary, yeah. So the birds fly around and sometimes they land on the guitars and the guitars are plugged into the amp. So you just hear a bit the sort of birds creating music as they're flying around.
Love it.
You better have all the bird shit on the guitars too.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Ray's just said in the chat that he's designed a 3D printer that could print mycelium, which is a fungus.
Whoa.
And you could print a veneer from that you could continue to grow if you look in a cupboard.
Oh, let's talk for sure.
Right. You'll have to carry on that conversation. That does sound interesting. There's there we go. So this is Neil was in the chat a minute ago. Don't know if you're still there.
Neil's there, I'd say.
We showed a guitar of Neil's last week.
This is Jurgs Cup 2.
Ah, well, I'm sharing it anyway.
Is this the copper one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a copper top, copper back, copper side.
Oh, they're out.
If you go to his, he's got it like a current picture of it as well. If you actually go to his Instagram, but it's looking really good.
Oh, that's looking cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
What I like is, if I'm reading it properly, the binding is actually the wood that the body's made from, and it's just a recess for the metal. Made from an old water tank.
Yeah, I've got a. He put out a new video before we went live, so we'll have to catch up on that one when we're done. But he's prolific. He makes so many guitars each year. He look like I'd say in the comments he makes more guitars than me and Crow.
Oh, well, you make more. Corey, you're also very prolific. But yeah.
Yeah, but I'm bored, and quality varies on mine sometimes.
If I didn't say, because before when I was trying to sort out the tech, which I haven't been able to sort out, I didn't really mention, but all of the builders we're sharing the Guitar Builders Collective Instagram page. So if you go over to the Instagram page, you'll see these posts and you'll see the links to the actual builders. So you can follow along, comment with them and see the builds better.
Yeah. There are a couple of things that I've did as collaborations for with the Guitar Builders Collective as well. So you'll just have to skip over them when the time comes.
So I saw we showed one of Jamie's last week, which was one he just finished before the Jurgs Cup was announced, but he fitted the bill really well. So I showed that, but this is the one he's been working on for the Jurgs Cup.
Yeah, it's Venetian blinds that he's been using, and he's bent the sides. And
I dig this shape a lot. There's so much like movement in it. It's like it's moving and it's so svelte. And I really dig this.
I think on his actual account too, he's got more current pictures of it.
He had oh yeah, here's a few.
But I think he based that off an existing guitar he had, that sort of shape, because I think that's a similar shape to his first, or maybe it's not. No,
it really reminds me of his Great Guitar Build-Off build from this year.
I think it is the same or similar shape to that.
What I like is when you see people that are developing their own almost style, so you can see from each guitar that it's probably made by the same person, even if it's made in a completely different way. There's something about it, and for him, it's that shape then. But I love seeing this sort of working out for how the blinds are going to fit together. And I seem to remember that his other one was made partly from an old piece of his house, like a roof girder or something like that.
Yeah, that might have been the one before the Jurgs Cup, like the one you shared last week, I think.
Oh, this is sorry. Oh, well, can we mention this as well? Because I noticed a few people. Dave joining in as well, making a Telecaster as cheap as you can.
Yeah, and Ty's in on it as well. It was actually Ty's idea to see how cheap we could go. And it's just a heap of end grain. Some of the like the neck was made out of end grain too, so some of the neck is actually in the guitar top as well.
Oh,
yeah.
right.
And the funny thing is, I mentioned it the first time I was on it. It dropped off a hanger from about 8 foot up like off the wall, and then crashed into an amp, then onto the floor, and it's still all together. So
It was
tight
meant to
bond's
be.
just like really good stuff.
Oh, look at that neck.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's mostly end grain. There's a veneer on the headstock because I actually went too deep with the truss rod bit where you have to go that little bit deeper. I went a little bit too deep there. But yeah, I put a little bit of resin in to fill the gaps on the top, and it started with Ty's idea to do them as cheap as I can, and I wanted to do an end grain top, and then I thought, well, I can make an end grain neck, and if it stuffs up, I can just replace it.
I love that a few people are taking that up now.
Yeah, that's stuff that we seen last week.
And this is your start of the new one for your cups.
Yeah, so that all those planks together that's sitting on the bandsaw, that's how I glued them up. I glued them all together at the one time, and then I ended up cutting slivers off to make up the scarves. You know what I think? Actually, have it
Cool.
up here. Right. Just glued up and then turned in the checkerboard.
Coffee delivery.
And yeah, I think that's like each Jurgs Cup. I think I'm just going to do like a wacky sort of neck, just to have a consistent sort of theme with them.
I wouldn't expect anything less.
Yeah. Well, I won't be using aluminium instead of carbon fibre next time. That was a pain in the ass to use.
Yes, so for those of you that don't know, the challenge for this year, for this cup, although you don't have to strictly follow it, is to use shop bought timber, like from your local DIY shop.
I'm excited about this. I'm doing it this year, by the way, guys. I'm totally doing it.
Yeah. Well, you got until the 23rd of April next year, Mark.
I need that time. Yeah, excellent.
Yeah. So I just figured, like, life gets in the way. You might as well, like, we want as many people doing it, so we might as well have like a big timeline on it, because stuff could come up like house payments or whatever, or you've got to find a new job, or
Well, I knew it was coming this year. I still didn't finish in time. Aaron, I know you were the same situation, but you had
mine's going this time of year is quite busy for me at work, and yeah, life's just got in the way. But I'll show it's just here. I'll show you if you like. Hang on a sec.
Nice.
Right, I'll see if I can share it without getting it behind the.
Oh yeah, that's still a thing, isn't it?
So it's pretty much all leftover material from last year's build off. So the first time I'm doing a neck through, so I've just done the fretboard, ebony fretboard, which is one that I had lying around. Which way am I going? That way. Yeah. So there's all of the stains that I tested for last year. If I was going to use that, so I'll definitely be dyeing this one. So there'll be no top. It'll all be red, or the crimson red. And then the wings.
You're doing a tilt back this time.
Say it again.
You're doing a tilt back headstock this time.
I am, yeah. Yep. So it'll be a different
fender style, aren't you?
Yeah. So it's the shape. It's the body shape's going to be the same shape as the first guitar ever made, which was the Brian May Red Special inspired one. But the body shape was, I think I've sort of mentioned before, a combination of that and a Les Paul, because years ago I played a Brian May replica, and it's really uncomfortable to sit on your lap. So I kind of, had some outlines and combined the two. So I'm sort of going with that. There's the top half there. So the same silky oak, the same veneer. There's the recycled blackwood that I used as well. I sort of found some lighter bits, so that'll be in the inside. That'll be joined anyway. But just playing around with colours on this one. So it'll all be, as I said, red stain, so you can still see the silky oak sort of patterns throughout. Yeah. But on the back, the blackwood, I've stained that before, and even though this is a lighter bit, it doesn't work. But I tested it with the old steel wool and vinegar trick to see how that would work, and that's what it looks like on blackwood. So it's just super dark. Super dark. Yeah, so that's like one brushing. So that's the hang on, which way am I going? That's the difference.
Wow.
Must have some serious tannins in it.
Yeah, so that's kind of the idea, that from the back you'll have the silky oak, and I'll put some more, veneers along here. So hopefully the pattern of the silky oak through there, and then the two sort of back blackwood panels will have that sort of really dark black color. So that's kind of the plan so far. But yeah, I'll chip away. Hopefully, probably a couple of months realistically to do that. So yeah, enjoying doing it, but it's just this year's been a bit tricky sometimes.
That edge grain, I guess how you got like the face of it, and then you got your end grain, and then you got the bits where you normally just glue up together. Yep. There's like the edge grain or the side grain. That is so nice in silky oak. Like it.
I had to, I've basically done the two pieces on the through neck for the size and shape of the wood that I had left over. So I'm really looking forward to carving. I think that's the details in. Okay, you can see the flat sawn surface. So I'm kind of hoping that actually when I carve it away, you should get all of that pattern on the side, and then maybe not as much on the back, but the line, going through the middle should look pretty good. I haven't decided on the headstock yet, but I actually kind of like the really sort of narrow sort of shape that it is at the moment. So I might even try to do rule on some straight string pulls and kind of see how much I can get away with just having it narrow, or just enough to create like a headstock shape without having a lot of excess that is more decorative. So that's that's the thoughts at the moment. But I'm kind of having fun doing this, because most of the guitars I've built, I've kind of had a design and planned from the start, and even though I'll tinker and change things, the overall shape and the main construction stuff hasn't changed. So this one I'm kind of enjoying. It feels very unfamiliar, but I'm quite enjoying getting up to a section and going, all right, how am I going to cut this? What shapes are going to be? Because I actually don't know yet. And the first time doing a neck through, I'm very conscious of the order of operations. It's a bit more important than other the guitars I've built. So I kind of the people that have done. I know you've done a lot of neck throughs, Scott, haven't you? That just to think the 3 or 4 steps ahead, and just to make life easier, to get to the stage 5 steps down, and I can throw a router on the top and not have a fretboard in the way, or to stick it in a vise and not have the body this wide or on the band sort of cut the back of the neck, and because I've already put the wings on or whatever. So it's all those things that is kind of like, well, just hopefully I've got it right so far.
There's so much material you can clamp to your bench and have this neck hanging off.
Yeah.
When it started, God, how many? Not sure how many neck throughs I did before I ever tried a set neck, and I swore up and down. I was like, why would anybody ever do anything other than a neck through? And then I've really come to enjoy doing set necks.
You're really nervous about doing the bloody set necks.
I was concerned about the pocket, and the pocket's cake. It's really not that big.
Yeah, so I've done a couple of few neck throughs. It's like, you really help yourself out if you do the fretwork before you glue the wings on. And
that's what I'm. The stage that I'm at, I'll get the fret in soon and carve the neck and do all that before I put the wings on, because I can't think of a more sensible way to do it. And thinking back to yours, Scott, I might have to watch a few of those just to make sure I can avoid any stuff ups down the track, just to see how you did it.
I should probably go back and look to see how I did it. It's been a while since I did a neck through.
I've done 2 neck throughs, and it's very, very difficult to design the heel transition on a CNC like in CAD. It's very difficult.
Gotcha.
And I had to get help designing it. And when I finally kind of knocked it out, I was like, okay, thank goodness, that's it. I'm never doing this again. But once the CNC is able to know where to go, it made the heel transition awesome. But yeah, I'm not doing that again. Because every CAD design I do is a custom one-off. Like you can't copy and paste. Like you build a guitar if you're starting from scratch. There's no like modular system with that. So I don't think I'll do a neck through again. I do like set necks though. Those are a piece of cake and awesome.
Well, by doing it by hand, I didn't have to deal with CNC, but I liked the fact that I could do anything I wanted with that heel, you know. But with a set neck, you pretty much can too. So I mean,
I'm looking forward to doing the heel. I know based on the first one I did, it was a 24 frets, because that's what the Brian May Red Special is. But the way, and that was just a bolt-on neck, and the fret access is not good on it. So I've changed a few things on this one where the body will meet the frets. But I'm actually looking forward to carving away that heel, knowing that I can keep carving and until I feel it feels comfortable.
Yeah, I've been doing this 4-string Cremona thing, and I've done I call it the Franklin carve, where you like swoop into the back of the neck and have it all look smick. And staring at it now.
So I'm just having a chat with Bill in the comments section, because Bill did something for the Jurgs Cup and I couldn't find it, and the reason was he's not really on social media. He uses YouTube, but not the others. So, I mean, obviously, we can't assume that everyone that watches or wants to take part is on every format. I've even added, Corey, in the description to the video that I had to cancel, the stream I had to cancel, but I'll copy across to this one, the Discord server, if anyone wants to join that, because I know you kept mentioning we've got one.
Yeah. We don't use them much. I think there's only been like greetings, and that's about it so far with it. It's just another thing to, between that, the forum, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube.
I'm a pretty big fan of Discord. I think it's a pretty interesting platform. I guess what I could do if we wanted to really kind of build it up is when I do this Jurgs Cup, I can kind of post there, like exclusively. Maybe we can generate some traffic to it. If you're interested in that.
Yeah. Mick just said something about the Facebook. Facebook's up to 962 people now. So we're getting up there. We've had to boot a couple because they've been trying to do sales posts. And
what I'd say about the Discord is it'd be great to try it, but who knows how it would turn out. So it's up to you. I don't want to waste your time and have you find that you're doing something and no one's looking, but you never know until you do it. That's the thing.
I don't even know how many people's on the Discord at the moment.
When I logged in today, there were 6 or 8. I can't remember. They're committed. So this is Brad's build. Again, work in progress. Right. So does anyone know? I was looking at this. Can you see the kind of shape that's carved in the back where the bridge would be?
Yeah.
How does that work? What's happening there?
He's made a tailpiece for it. He's insetting a wood tailpiece. I think it's in a couple of photos coming up.
Right. Oh, yeah. So.
Wow.
And he's done, I think, with the router, it's like a sort of German carve type thing with the router bits and a heap of sanding in that.
It looks incredible. It's got undulating hills, dunes going on there.
Yeah, heaps of carving and heaps of sanding. That's why I like bevels. It's so much easier to sand. But yeah, that's a it's almost like a Scatter Lee type design.
Oh, wrong button, sorry.
Scatter Lee. Is it Scatterlee? He's American fella that makes a lot of violin sort of shaped guitars.
I'm not sure if it's that one, but I remember when I was first getting into playing bass, going to a shop to look at to look at a bass to buy, and seeing a very much like this, that kind of violin finish. It had a kind of, I don't know what you call them on the violins, the sort of twirls that go around the top, and it was incredible. But I just I hadn't seen anything like it, and I couldn't imagine playing it. It just felt like more of a weird thing and not like what I was used to seeing. And now if I went into a shop, that would be the one I'd be drawn to. Whereas when I was a teenager, I was drawn to the ones that just looked familiar and standard, really. Scrolls, of course, yes. Brad just said there's going to be piezo in the bridge as well.
Okay. Yeah. There's a guy on Instagram and Facebook, Scatterlee. He makes Scattervaries, which is like a very similar shape to that, and he's been doing it for years. And it's like such a cool design. Like I know for certain I couldn't play that guitar sitting down because my leg wouldn't fit in that rule.
I don't think many people's would.
Yeah, might toddler maybe.
That's a question I want to ask. When all of you play, how do you play? Do you play sitting down, or do you prefer standing up, or do you don't? However it comes.
Me, I kind of learning. You know, when I learn songs for the gigs that I do, normally sitting down to learn, and then when I'm comfortable, I'll practice standing up because that's when I'm doing the gig. I'm standing up, so it's a different muscle memory just to get used to, but. Bit of both.
Yeah, if I'm doing demos for my guitars, I'll stand up. Sometimes I'll sit down. It just depends. Like I have this one strap that's got like built-in sort of strap locks on it, so I like using that. Like if I stand up.
Yeah, I've thought about the fact that when I was a kid, I was always sitting, and these days I'm always standing. But I think the way my place is just that I don't have a real good, easy way that I could sit.
I'm always sitting, but I'm always wearing a strap, and I wear my strap really high. I'm one of those guys that wears a guitar where like the horn's hitting my chin.
I like Tom Morello.
Yeah.
I always used to play standing up in front of a mirror, because I hated looking down. So I used to look at my fingers in the mirror, so I could see where I was playing. And I always felt that was, for me, a better way to learn, because I felt like it would when I was in a situation where I didn't have the mirror there, I'd be forced to. It would all come back somehow. But yeah, no, it's not. It's it's muscle memory. It doesn't matter if you're looking down or looking up. But I always preferred that. But now when I play, it's in my workshop and there's not much room. And I've got a chair I sit on, which is one of those kneeling chairs where you sort of sit at an angle. But instead of sitting on it like a kneeling position, I sit on the back bit and put one of my feet on the kneeling bit. So I'm more in like a classical position with my knee quite high. And I play like that. But I think that's just because I've got not much space and that chair's there.
I'll grab one off the wall and lay down and play it. Just out of laziness, I guess.
That's like
watch TV.
absorbing the music.
Someday I'll have a better computer set up, and then I'd be sitting in front of the computer. But we're not there.
Have the headstock up against the wall so it amplifies it a little bit.
Yeah.
Bill's got it. You start sitting down, slowly stand up, and close your eyes. Right, let's do some more sharing because with my full start today. Sorry, everyone, we're dragging on a bit, and I appreciate some of you got to go to work. This was, I think, the first one finished by Chris from King Bespoke Creations, and I was fascinated watching it because he seemed to be trying out lots of new processes. Because I think at the time he just got his laser cutter, I'm not sure if that was true, but he was doing lots of other laser stuff, like selling things on Etsy that were kind of guitar related and motorbike related that he'd etched with the laser. But
Yeah,
the
I know
pattern,
he's doing like Randy Rhoads and like some guitar figures, like sort of burn on the coasters or.
yeah,
I remember he did a lot of testing with this to get the curves right and to be able to bend it without it snapping and breaking. And then I remember the like trimming it to the sides and routing where it was chipping off in places. So yeah, I remember him doing a lot of prototyping and initial testing for this one.
I remember that.
Neil's put on a comment there that he was the first one finished.
He might have been. I don't know. I didn't mean it like it was a competition. All I meant was it was so long ago that I can't remember.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, but just the amount of work in that, like to proto, like just the designs in there to get it to bend the way it did, and it's a neck through as well, I think, or it's pretty much all the way.
I think it's neck through because isn't it hollow? Like the sides are hollow, and then this top's been put on.
I think so. Yeah. Yep.
I know it's all plywood. Maybe cut the inner rims around the neck or something. I don't know.
Well,
but I know he made like. Sorry?
At least I can say that we may not remember, but we watched the videos ages ago. Unlike some other competitions we've watched where people talk about the guitars and they've only seen them for the first time. Put that there.
No, well, if he wasn't the first, he would have been the second one finished. I'll tell you that much.
Right, I've got two more before we go. Like I said, I wasn't sure if Dave was going to make it today. It's a shame that we didn't talk about his last week when he was on the show because he could have held it up. But this is Dave's one.
Yep. It's always fun watching him do his thing because it's always a different process and it's always interesting.
And there's always a jig for something.
Yeah.
Interesting jigs, yeah.
That second photo where the mahogany lines up to the bit on the side, so cool.
It's really good, isn't it?
Yeah.
That is awesome.
And he took a bit of inspiration from Scott's Kai guitar.
I mean, don't we all?
Yeah.
Some people more than others, Scott. Yeah, the two-tone works really well, and I love the way it's still got the binding round it, but at some points the binding sort of fades or disappears. Like, I find this really arty in the way it's put together.
It really is.
I'd love to know
if his video comes up. I stop what I'm doing, then I'll put it on the TV, and I'm just watching it for half an hour, and then I'll go back doing what I was doing.
Well, maybe next time Dave's with us, we can talk to him a bit more about it, because I'd like to know how much he plans before he starts the building, because it feels like you have to have, for something like this, everything thought out. But is there anything that just while he's doing it, he thinks, oh, that would be cool to transition the wood from here to there, and then changes the build a bit as it goes along?
Even little things, the lighter wood on the F-hole sort of shape there, just that extra little bit of detail to transition back to that.
I love contrast with woods.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and on the side of the fretboard as well, the binding there. I'm noticing all these now.
Yeah,
and he even did it with the dots as well. Like
see if I
he sort of plug cutted the dots and then added bits of like if you watch the videos, there's like little lines that go through the dots as well.
Yep. Okay.
Wow.
Ray's up for a challenge for printing. I think Brad was saying you should do a 3D printed version of something like this, because it has that quality that Ray talked about when we had Ray on a few weeks ago from Custom Unlimited Designs, talking about how the tops of his that are 3D printed, but to me didn't look like a 3D print, because they're not as you imagine. They were much more intricate and arty than I thought. They're done in the in sections that sort of fit together, and the way they fit together, those sections, is sort of hidden by the pattern that's in it. But now I see in the comment, as I said, that it wasn't this top that they were talking about, it was this top. Hey, so I've got one more to share, which was, let's hide this. So I know it was a use what you've got challenge, and Bill came along, who's in the chat, Bulgarian Evolution, and was, oh wait, okay, where's my share? And instead of a build what you got, he did a kind of refinish what you've got, which I thought was a good take on it. Like we keep saying, it's not the challenge or the topic that's important. It's the idea of getting people building, getting people doing things and sharing. Mm-hmm. I'm going to have to share my entire screen, I think, to do this. Oh, good night, Bart. Bart's enough. So it was a Les Paul that he was refinishing and fixing on the look of it. Isn't it interesting when you take a guitar apart and see what's underneath? Because that combo of wood doesn't look like it's a deliberate choice. Does it look more like it was what they had to hand, do you think?
Is that what it said?
Ready for paint.
Yeah.
Yep.
There wasn't much glue in the neck pocket as well. There's like a ridiculously small amount of glue that was actually in that pocket.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Hey, if you're still there, Bill, what make was it originally? There's some videos on YouTube of Bill playing it as well, and I think Scott, it might be him demoing it via some Iron Maiden.
Nice.
Oh wait, have I gone the wrong way there? Right, so yeah, apologies everyone about the weird box that's appeared today. I meant to say when we were looking at Brad's guitar that Brad's going to be on the show in next month, the end of next month. We're going to, and Brad, if you're there, we're going to do it at 8 p.m. your time. So we're going to start doing some at 8 p.m. Corey and Aaron's time as well. And I think that will hopefully make it a bit more accessible when we invite some guests along. And we've got some guests signed up now for next month. Sean from R1 Lutherie that people suggested is going to come on. There's a few others that we're just going to sort out dates with, so that should be great. I'm hoping that if we're doing it at 8, the Australian time, then not only will it mean that we can get some guests on that is convenient for that. So in the real world, Mick, that is 5 a.m. in America for Scott and Mark, I think.
Yeah.
Everyone
in Australia has dinner at 6:30.
Yes, apparently. But what we're hoping is, as the year goes on, and we have the weird non-aligned changes of clocks going backwards and forwards for end of summer saving, then hopefully we'll still be able to do it at 8 p.m. Australian time, and I'll still be able to host it. But I think that might make it ridiculously early in the morning for Scott and Mark. I can't quite get my head around what happens when the clocks change until it happens.
Damn it, I'll have to sleep in. That's tragedy.
But Bill was just saying he was originally going to use it just as a practice painting. I think it looks great.
It turned out great.
Yeah. I mean, no matter what you say about kits, I think they're a great thing to experiment on.
Yeah.
As is buying a cheap guitar just to experiment on.
It depends on the kit. I wasn't dissing kits. just the Harley Benton. It was not a good guitar.
So next week, at the moment, there isn't a guest lined up. There isn't a topic lined up. We'll see what happens. Keep an eye out, though, because I will post when I know what's happening on the YouTube page. I'll post the title for it, and I'll start posting the dates for other people that are coming on as guests as soon as they're confirmed. So you'll see that in the playlist, which is linked in the video below, as is links to all of our pages, to the Jurgs Cup videos. And I think I haven't put a link up yet, Corey, for the description of the new Jurgs Cup. Is there a description on the forum page for Jurgs Cup 2? I think there is.
Yeah, I did a post on that saying general outline with it. It's similar to last year, but it's DIY timber or hardware. We call it hardware shop over here.
Great.
Home Depot or whatever for Americans.
I will link to that so people can find it.
Yeah, it's got the links to the merch as well, which when I'm still waiting on the payout from Teespring, because apparently you can only do one payout each month. And when we get the payment, it'll be $907 we've raised from the merch.
Amazing.
Nice.
So is that raised for the new merch?
No, in total.
Yeah.
In total, we've only had about 8 or 9 items with the new stuff. But,
Yeah,
people want to buy it. You can't force it. So.
Cool.
But I'll probably put up a post on, share a story once a week with the merch on there.
Great.
Yeah. As soon as I'm done with my build, I'll put a video up on about that.
Excellent.
Well,
thank you all again, and thank you everyone for dealing with this thing here. I will try and work out what that is before next week. Yeah. I won't bore you.
I just reset the computer.
Yeah, that might be what it is. All right. Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a good week.
The Guitar Builders Collective is a group of like-minded people from all around the world at different stages of their guitar building journey. You can join us over on our forum to seek advice or share tips on guitar building processes, materials and tools, or just to share your builds. On YouTube, we have a regular podcast of guitar building chat where you can join the live stream or watch back on past episodes. Our Instagram page shares posts of members' builds and links you direct to their accounts. And for those of you on Facebook, we've got a private group that you can join, share and chat along with. The Guitar Builders Collective is a welcome and open space for all, so do pop by and say hi.